Creator of The Art of Freedom for Conscious Living and Masterful Artistry. And in this video, I am going to offer day 3 of this 5-day Year's End Reflections video series, in which I am presenting the 5 pillars of the Art of Freedom method for you to help you in reflecting on the past year, 2021, and as you look forward to 2022. This is the last week of 2021, so it's the perfect time to just take a few minutes for yourself every day and reflect on these pillars and how you might take these ideas to heart and help improve where you're headed in 2022. So the 5 pillars of the Art of Freedom method are purpose, mind, body, spirit, and artistry. So on Monday, on day 1, we talked about purpose. Having purpose as a musician is absolutely essential, in my opinion. And then yesterday we talked about the mind and actually made a much longer video than intended. So I'm going to try to keep today's shorter. And today is day 3, and pillar number 3 is the body. So I'm going to be talking about how we can look at our bodies and kind of put that into the context of the whole self and enjoying life and living life as a musician. So before I dive into the topic, I just want to say hello to everybody. I had some tech issues yesterday, but I think I have worked everything out because I'm seeing somebody from Durban, South Africa who's here, but I'll just say I can't see everybody's name always. I'm using a system called eCam, which requires you to give permission. So if you're seeing somewhere where you can check the box or something to give permission if you want me to see your name, that would be lovely. Otherwise, I'm just going to say, hi, Facebook user from Durban, South Africa. And if you're on YouTube, I'd love to know if this connection is working on YouTube as well, because I am simulcasting to 2 places on Facebook and 1 place on YouTube. I think it's working, but some confirmation would be great. Okay, so in the interest of keeping this shorter today, I'm going to dive into the topic, which, as I said, is the body. Okay, now I'll just say up front, you can't really split these 5 things apart. They're 5 pillars, just like 5 fingers are part of one hand. You can't separate them. You don't want to separate them, right? So the mind and the body really are inseparable, but we do tend to emphasize certain aspects that we think of as mental when we're talking about the mind and our thoughts, even though you can't have a mind or thoughts without a brain, so it's just the way of speaking. And the same with the body. Everything that happens in the body is intimately connected with what's going on in the mind. And actually, the body is innocent. This is something I want to throw out here for you all. I feel very strongly about this. The body is innocent, and it is beautifully wired to your brain and just follows your brain's instructions. Whether you're conscious or unconscious of what messages you're sending from your brain all the time, your body is simply carrying out your brain's instructions. So the big idea that I want to share today about the body is that you really want to remember that your body is innocent and ask yourself, as you're reflecting on the past 2021 and before, you want to reflect on whether you've been thinking of your body as innocent, or whether you kind of think that it's not really part of you and there's something wrong with it that needs to be fixed. Maybe you have some pain, or you have tension habits, things that you know that you do that you don't like. Maybe you have a knee problem, so you say you have a bad knee or a bad back. How many times have you heard people talk about their bad knee or their bad back or their bad posture? How many times do you think about your body or body parts and think of them as bad or wrong, or like there's something wrong with parts of your body? Do you realize that your body is you? It really is you. Not just your body. Like I said, your body is intimately connected with your mind, your soul, your emotions, your spirit. Your whole self is one being. But we have a tendency to criticize our bodies. and accuse our bodies and judge our bodies for not doing what we want it to do. And perhaps it's not feeling well, and so we accuse our bodies, we abuse our bodies. Okay, so I want to encourage you to reflect on your relationship with your body and ask yourself, have I been kind to my body? Or am I subtly judging my body and accusing my body and perhaps even abusing my body? And there's so many ways that we abuse our bodies. As a musician, just a really quick, simple thought that comes to mind. Pushing yourself to practice even when you're tired, you know you're hungry, you are not into it anymore, you're not enjoying your practicing, your body is tight and you push through the tension. Really bad idea, because that will lead you down the road towards injury, guaranteed, unless you pull yourself back, knowing how to take care of yourself. You can stop that downward spiral, but lots of people don't. They push through, they over practice, they believe in quantitative practice. I'm not going to go into that, that's a topic for another video, but I'm only for quantitative practice if it's also qualitative and it's including the whole self. Okay? So very often people push through, forcing themselves to practice 5, 6, 7 hours when the body protests and they just don't listen to the body. Okay, so very often when there's tension in the body, it's because there's a subtle fight, flight, freeze response going on. And what I mean by that, well, it's a startle pattern, right? And ultimately, at the root of it, it is a fear response. You can either be in a mode of thinking and being that is tending towards fear and compression and tightening, or you can be going in an opening, freeing, loving direction. It's really that simple. You're either tending towards more fear and more shutting down, towards an earlier death, right? To be really extreme and blunt about it, or you're opening up and freeing up and including and feeling more loving. It does come down to that simple choice in any and every given moment. But we usually are not thinking about that at all. So I want to encourage you to actually think about your body right now and think about whether you tend to, let me back up. The startle response, fight, flight, freeze response, has actually 4 components. It's actually not just the fight, flight, freeze response. There's a 4th aspect, which is called fawn, which is a submissive kind of collapsing and submitting and surrendering response. So this startle response, it's a fear response in response to stimuli. So let's say something in your body hurts. How do you respond to your body? Do you go towards your body and include your body with a loving response? Or do you start judging and criticizing and actually feeling afraid of the pain or the tension that you're experiencing in your body? When we do that, we're in a startle. So you might actually be in a fight response against your body. Let's say you're playing octaves on your instrument. I'm a violinist, so I always think of violin, but it could be any instrument. Just think of your own analogy. But I'm thinking of the violin and playing tenths. Let's say I'm practicing tenths for a long time and I start to get pain in my pinky or in my arm. Well, do I get angry if I start feeling that pain? Do you get angry if you start feeling pain when you're playing? That would be a fight response in which you're accusing your body of doing something wrong. You're judging it. The pain is bad. You're thinking pain is bad. That is a response that's a fear-based response, and it's just going to take you in the wrong direction. And again, if you react to pain by fighting the pain, you're just going to make it worse because you're adding more tension onto the tension that's already there. It's just going to cause more pain. Okay? Another way you might respond to your body if it's feeling uncomfortable is by going into a flight response. just deny it. Pretend it's not hurting. Pretend it's not there. And like go do something else. Distract yourself. You're kind of trying to flee from the pain. That's also a fear-based response. Okay, but maybe you just don't want to think about it. Run away from the idea. Run away from your body. Dissociate. This happens a lot. Like if you're experiencing performance anxiety, you have a physical sensation. Lots of physical sensations. Maybe your heart is beating faster. Maybe you're shaking. Maybe you start having intestinal issues. Lots of symptoms are possible with performance anxiety. Performance anxiety is obviously both mental, emotional, and physical, but we're talking about the body right now. So if you feel physical sensations, well, do you try to run away from those and distract yourself and do something else, and instead of actually being with your body? The other two are freeze and fawn. So let's say you go into, you've got some, let's see, what's an example of freeze? Well, you're backstage and it's about time to go on and you're just kind of not moving and you're freezing, and you walk on stage and you're just really quiet and you get really stiff and you're feeling a lot of back pain, but you're just not going to rock the boat. I'm sure you can think of your own examples of a freeze response, but a freeze response actually blocks the flow of healing energy in you. It blocks creative energy, it blocks life force, and it absolutely blocks the best music making. If you're in a freeze response for performance anxiety, for instance, and you just walk out there and you act really calm, that's one way that we do a freeze response. You walk out there and everybody thinks you're really calm, but you're just having a freeze response. And then you start playing and everything goes well, but you're totally disconnected from the emotions of the music. I don't know if anybody can relate to what I'm talking about, but you don't really feel the gorgeousness and the lusciousness and the beauty of the music that you're making because you're kind of frozen. All right, and then you wonder why you can't really communicate with your audiences. This is why. Okay, one of the reasons why. Okay, and then the fourth aspect of the fight, flight, freeze response is the fawn response, which is that submissiveness that you go into when you're in a fear state. If you feel like there's a threat out there that is more powerful than you, then you go into a kind of a collapsed, surrendering, submissive mode. This is what animals do. And this is an animal part of our brain that does this. So you go into a submissive mode and you actually become a slave to your circumstances. So let's talk about the opposites of these. And again, as I'm talking about all of this, I hope you're reflecting on your tendencies and maybe how you responded in certain events, to certain events in 2021. Maybe you were fortunate enough to start performing in person again. And I'm seeing people are showing up here. I would be really curious to know how many people experienced going back to live performances and feeling like it was like a big deal. I've read a lot of posts from musicians on Facebook over the year where it was their first performance back, and I remember someone sitting down on the steps before a concert just in tears, overwhelmed, overcome by being able to perform in person again after a whole year of the pandemic and lockdown and everything. So I'm curious if anybody out there has had some experience with going back to live performances. And then how did you respond? Did you go into some sort of a fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response? And how was your body involved in that? And if you did have a reaction, how did you react to your bodily reaction? Now, as you know, probably, I'm a certified Alexander Technique teacher, and everything that I do is based on, amongst other things, the principles of the Alexander Technique. And Alexander said, it's one of my favorite quotes, quote, "Mine is a method for the control of human reaction." Today we're talking about the body, the third pillar of the Art of Freedom method that includes the Alexander Technique. So I'm wanting you to reflect on how you tend to react to your body in certain circumstances and in general. Okay? Do you tend towards a fear-based response of things happening in your body, Or, now here's the flip side, here's what I want to present to you, which you might want to intend for 2022. Instead of going into a judging mode that thinks of your body as, when you're having problems, as thinking of the pain or problems as bad, instead of fighting the problems, what if you could just embrace your body from the inside, just like you would a little child that's hurt? Can you embrace your body and actually love your body even when it's in pain? Can you even love the parts that are in pain? Can you love the parts that are tense, that are stiffening and tightening and going into a spasm? Can you love those parts that are difficult for you to love? It's a challenge, okay? Instead of going into a flight mode where you just want to kind of run away from the problems, can you actually stay with your body when you're having difficulties? Can you validate your own experience and trust the inner wisdom of your body? And like I said at the beginning of this video, can you honor the fact that your body is actually truly innocent? It's not your fault if your knee hurts. It's not your body's fault, and there's no such thing as a bad knee or a bad back, because it is you. And your body is simply reflecting and carrying out the instructions of your brain perfectly. But lots of times the brain sends unconscious instructions to the body that cause problems. And it's our job, the conscious part of the brain, to wake up and pay attention to what messages we're actually sending to ourselves, make them conscious so that we can heal ourselves instead of denying and judging and bashing ourselves and trying to fix the body. Stop trying to fix your body. Learn how to love your body, include your body, understand your body, listen to your body, and choose to love especially and focus on the parts of your body that are fine. This is a big part of what I teach in the Art of Freedom method. We learn how to focus on the things that are working really well, because what you focus on, you get more of. Okay? You need to acknowledge and be with the pain, yet also pay attention to everything that's working, because you'll get more of an experience of ease and pleasantness and comfort in your body when you acknowledge that and bring it out in your experience. Also, instead of going into a freeze response where you tend to stiffen and harden, can you allow yourself to melt and flow with life force? And last but not least, instead of going into a fawning, submissive mode that collapses and shuts down your energy, becoming a slave to outer circumstances, can you come back to yourself and stand your ground and be fully, truly, authentically yourself, including and loving your whole body as part of you? It's about being true to yourself and including your body as the beautiful container that your soul is incarnate into, right? You're a beautiful soul that lives in this body. And without the body, you wouldn't be here. So can you be grateful for your body in 2022? That is my challenge to you today. So that's what I've got for you today, and I would love to get your comments. And I actually see some of them popping up today. Yes! So I'm going to just pop over to the comments and see what's here. Strings attached is the first one I see at the bottom. Hello. Yes, I did this when I had COVID 3 weeks ago, and my heart rate was up around 110. Wow. Thanks to Wim Hof training and meditation for the last 7 years, I could sit with it and observe. Also did parasympathetic breathing. That's wonderful. Yes, that's great. So having a system, it sounds like you have systems that you've found that work for you. I don't know about what you're mentioning, but the system that I share in great detail and very simple step-by-step process applied to mind-body unity, applied to music. This is the Art of Freedom method. It's a very simple step-by-step process that allows people to integrate the whole self And yes, it calms down the nervous system, but in a way that also energizes you. So I'm glad that you've found something that helps you. Strings attached, I don't know your actual name, but thank you so much for commenting. And yes, actually, Alexander was known as the breathing man for years, and the breath is absolutely indirectly involved in all the work that we do, because the breath reflects everything that goes on inside of us. What else is here? Again, I apologize that most of you, I can only see Facebook user, unless you give permissions to eCam to use your name. eCam won't show me the names, so I'm really sorry. Mary Loney, thank you for telling me you're here. I saw your name. Love Face XYZ. Okay, great. Yeah, I'll satisfy my own wishes. Thank you. Goodbye. Facebook user says, "Wow, so insightful, wonderful. I'm so glad this is helpful for you." Someone says, "Don't have fear to play publicly. Just can't get down to the basic daily practices." Okay, yeah. With the Art of Freedom, I give my students very simple, short awareness etudes based on Primal Alexander, which is a really in-depth, systematic, and back to basics, pure Alexander technique practice that you can do for yourself. So I teach people how to do just a few minutes of awareness etudes twice a day. It takes really maximum 10 minutes a day. And with those awareness etudes, it is absolutely guaranteed that you will improve in all these aspects that I talk about. So someone is also saying, "I think I live in a constant state of submission." That is so common, especially for women. And that has been my tendency for much of my life. So I'm very familiar with the submissive reaction response, but I also have learned I also have a tendency to be kind of rebellious and like do my own thing. so I've really learned how to bring out the stand my ground and just be myself and do my own thing, which is, by the way, why I call my method the Art of Freedom method, because it's all about learning to be fully myself, yourself, ourselves, and really embody and stand our ground to express who we are fearlessly and lovingly towards ourselves first and then to the outside. So yes, I totally understand that. My body is certainly not cooperating in the moment. Your body is actually doing what your brain is telling it to do. So remember that, because when your body delivers an experience, remember it's not your body's fault. Your body is innocent. Your body is simply manifesting what your brain's messages are sending it. So our job is, again, to get curious about what's actually happening and come back up to the mind, because really the mind we have so much power over ourselves. We have no idea. We only use a fraction of what's possible for us in using our mind and our brain. So instead of thinking about the body not cooperating, or the body being bad, or the body being problematic, see if you can just love that part of you anyway and get curious about how you might think differently to get different results in the body. And if you want to learn more about this, everybody here, I'm going to finish up now, but I really want to make sure you all know that I do two things. I do private coaching for musicians. I only teach musicians these days, by the way. I do private coaching for musicians, and I also have introductory programs that include some private coaching, optional group sessions on Zoom, and there's a self-study course that all of my students, private and group, all of my students start with the self-study course, because it's just chock full of really essential mind-body information that if you go through my self-study course, you absolutely are guaranteed to improve. And I offer a 100% money-back guarantee, because it works. If you do the program and it's simple, quick, easy, from day one, you start noticing improvement. So I'm starting a new session of the Musician's Mind-Body Breakthrough in mid-January. Enrollment is open now. If you want to learn more about how to incorporate all these ideas that I'm sharing with you in this 5-day year's end reflection series, and you want to feel better in mind, body, and spirit as a musician, and learn how to apply it specifically to improve your technique and your musicianship, and just fully enjoy your music making more. If you're in pain, if you want to learn how to heal from the inside out, drug-free, surgery-free, I mean, sometimes those things are necessary, right? But so many of the times, so much of the time, they are not necessary. And if people just understood how to take care of themselves in this way that integrates mind, body, and emotions, it's not hard. This is how we are designed to live. But in our modern society, we tend to split things apart rather than unify them. We tend to live in a fear-based society rather than a love-based society. And we're talking about the self. And today I talked about the body and how we tend to actually have a fear-based reactive mode towards our bodies, even ourselves. So all change, all improvement starts with yourself, taking care of yourself. And that's what the musician's mind-body breakthrough is all about. It's about taking care of your whole self, but it also goes into great detail about how to make really excellent music in a very, very, very subtle way. So even the most specific techniques of your instrument, whatever your instrument is, I can help you improve it, guaranteed, because I will teach you super efficient practice techniques that take your whole self into account. For instance, mind flow practicing that people tend to call mental practicing, but mind flow practicing is like a whole different, it's like a whole step above, because it recognizes there's no such thing as mental practicing. It's all mind, body, whole self practicing. It's just done without your musical instrument. If you're curious, reach out. If you want to know about the musician's mind, body breakthrough, it is truly transformational. Everybody who goes through my intro programs like this, they're just blown away, because it's a whole different paradigm of being a musician, and you just improve in every area of your life, but you really progress dramatically as a musician. Whether you're professional or not a professional, skill level is irrelevant. It's about playing this instrument well. So message me on Facebook Messenger or email me at jennifer@artoffreedom.me, and please drop your comments in the comments below. And if you're on YouTube, subscribe to my channel, please, and share this video, because I think every musician in the world ought to pay attention to the body in these ways, and I would love for more people to be thinking in this loving way towards themselves. So thank you so much for being here, and just going to scroll down one more time. Oh, great, lots of spam that I'll have to get rid of. Thanks a lot for wasting my time, whoever you are. All right. Thank you, everybody else, so much for being here, and so much love to all of you. Be well, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. By the way, tomorrow is the 4th pillar, and it's about spirit, which is just, it makes me excited already. It's inspiring. Okay, so see you then.